Well, Friday is lovely, and so too is cricket. West Indies will take a second shot at securing a T20 series win against India for the first time since 2017, when they contest the fourth and penultimate game in Lauderhill, Florida on Saturday. The Windies lead the five-match series 2-1, narrowly winning the first two matches by 4 runs and 2 wickets respectively, before India pulled off a 7-wicket victory in Game 3 on Wednesday. Well, international cricket commentator Nikhil Uttamchandani joins us to preview the encounter. Good afternoon, Nikhil. How are you?
Good afternoon, Maria. Really good, and also really excited for the series and the series decided in the next couple of games.
Yeah, it's really one to watch, and I'm thinking about the momentum now being in India's favour, especially after securing that third win. But to me, the series is alive, and it's any of the teams one for taking.
Yeah, it's very much alive. I think the way that the West Indies begun things in the first two T20 internationals would have sent a statement to the Indians, but also I think momentum, as we know, in T20 cricket is something that is very significant. And the Indians, with all of their experience, they're the #1 ranked team in the world for a reason, will be looking to take that experience into tomorrow's game especially, because I think if you can even the series at 2-all, then you go into the fifth one with a slight advantage given the fact that you've now won 2 on the trot. So all to play for, but I think both teams, more than just winning, will be also looking to experiment a bit with eyes on that T20 World Cup, which is why both teams have picked young squads, but also have done some tinkering, especially India, trying to find that right combination for the T20 World Cup come next year.
Yeah, a lot of thought going into that T20 World Cup, and we've spoken about that on the show so much about, the rebuilding for the West Indies under Rahman Powell. And then, of course, India doing some things that they won't really do regularly. So we can tell that, they're testing to see who they really want to play. Nikhil, the conditions, though, in Lauderhill, Florida, what are we expecting? Because I did some research today, and I'm realizing that the team that bats first there, they tend to be the one that emerges victorious. What are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I think 11 out of 13 of the last teams who have batted first there have won. And it's usually a pretty conducive surface for batting. I worry about it being on the slower side because of the lack of cricket that they have. They haven't had much USA international cricket being played there with the USA involved in the qualifier, etc. So I do worry about the pace of the track, but I also hope that we can see a lot of runs on offer, because batting has been hard work for teams in this competition, in the series, and also the West Indies have had their success when they've batted first. So it will be quite interesting.
Yeah, you're a man. You're very, very close to the action, so maybe you can give us the scoop. Have you heard anything about Jason Holder? How is he doing fitness-wise?
Well, I'm not that close, Maria, but I have observed the social medias of the Windies cricket, and I do see him running around at training and taking catches, etc. So I do hope he's fully recovered. I think they missed his variation and also ability in the middle overs to strike. We saw that double strike within I think it was the first T20 international where they won, where he took the 2 wickets in a single over. And for me, that X factor, but also the experience, plays a massive part. And when you had someone like Surya Kumar Yadav in the last game, having Jason Holder to come on for an over or 2 in the middle could have easily brought that partnership and gone a long way in winning the game. So his experience will be necessary, but also it'll be interesting to see if they opt for maybe an Odean Smith with his variations and also express pace depending on the surface. But also O'Shane Thomas, who's been included in the one international side and the T20 international side, but we haven't seen him just yet in the series.
Yeah, with that in mind, then, there is a suggestion that Jason Holder, if it could replace Roston Chase, you brought a couple of other names in there like Odean Smith and O'Shane Thomas. Would it be for you then, Nikhil, that Chase would definitely be out, and it depends on who would replace him?
Well, I think, given the combination, Lance, I think Jason Holder is a bit more effective than Chase in this series and the conditions we've had so far. But I would also be open to seeing one of those bowlers, whether it's Odean Smith with his all-round ability, or even Thomas, come in for Johnson Charles. I think the West Indies have a lot of batting, and I've looked at the numbers from the 3 T20 internationals. I think they're wasting some of that depth that they have in terms of the power hitting. I'll start with Nicholas Pooran, who in the first 2 matches faced 29 balls in the power play, and he struck out over 224. And obviously the West Indies went on to win those 2 games. And the last one didn't face a ball, and obviously they lost. But I don't think it just comes down to that. But personally, I would like to see him, or the experiment of him going up to number 3. And also Shimron Hetmyer. There's been a lot of discussion about him not being able to get runs. I would like to see him come in at a different phase of the game, maybe between the 12th or 15th over if he bats at number 4. He's batted at 6 during the series. And he's also got his best numbers in international cricket in T20s at 4 as well. So I think some experimenting can occur. Remember, this is a series, yes, you want to win it, but also you want to look to that next World Cup. So you can play a few different scenarios here to see what's your best combination.
I saw a preview today that suggested consideration for Shea Hope coming in for Brandon King or Johnson Charles.
I would say the way that Shea Hope has gone about things, obviously he's been in one-day international cricket, but the sublime form that he's been in, I would be very curious to have a look at him. And I know he's had the criticism about his strike rate, but I watched him up close in Zimbabwe, Lance, and he's done a lot of work with head coach Darren Sammy on his 6 hitting. And we saw it where this year he struck over 100, and it's been because of that 6 hitting component. I think he's adapted his game enough to be a very prolific player in T20 cricket. I mean, he's an amazing cricketer on a whole. But I would be very eager to have a look in at him. I don't know if it's for Brandon King. And if he does come in for Johnson Charles, I would still be inclined to see Pooran go up to number 3, Hope maybe bat at 4, and then Hetmyer at 5. So you have the left-right combination consistently, and then you have Powell and the all-rounders at 6, 7, 8. I would be very curious to see that matchup, and I'm also looking at him very keenly in that Caribbean Premier League coming up later this month.
Yeah, and Nikhil, Mariah referenced the trend for teams batting first, winning in Lauderhill, but there's a 47% chance of rain on Saturday. Does that influence the captain winning the toss to probably go for chasing?
Probably the thing that you assess on the day, because as we know, weather can be very volatile. But from my experience in Fort Lauderdale, they are very prone to thunderstorms, very prone to lightning, and obviously rain as well. So I think you look at the series and what's gone well, and it's been the teams that have batted first and have put pressure and runs on the board have done really well in terms of being able to defend. So I think I would still be inclined, given the ground stats and also how the West Indies especially have gone. If I'm Rovman Powell, win the toss to bat first, but you never know. That percentage could increase come tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a graphic with Rovman Powell, so let's take a closer look at that. Team? All right, so Rovman Powell being captain, of course, 7 matches. He has accumulated 5 wins and 2 losses so far. And while batting in these matches, Nikhil, these 7 matches, a total of 218 runs and a high score of 48, it's safe to say Rovman Powell likes being captain and he performs better. Do you expect his winning percentage to continue? And of course, with the bat, he continues to improve.
Yeah, he's been massive. You mentioned with bat in hand, I'll start there. Especially what impressed me the most, I think, was given the one-day international form, he was really struggling. And to see him come in on it with a clean slate and go back to what's worked well for him. I remember when he got that T20 international 100 against England, it was using his feet against Rashid. Now in this series, he's used his feet well against Kuldeep Yadav, Chahal, etc. He's gone back to that, but also he's put, I think, a bigger prize on his wicket, where he's taken the game deep. In those 7 innings, I think he's got 3 not outs, and they've been crucial. That last 40 in the last game, yes, they didn't win, but it was integral in them getting to a competitive total. I think when I look at his game and also his leadership style, unmatched in terms of the region, and I've observed him in the CPL where he had that resounding success, but in the Super 50 last year, with the Jamaica team that not many had to win, he was able to get the best out of his players, but also find another level in terms of with bat in hand. So whatever it is between him not being captain and him being captain, it's making a huge difference to his personal game.
Right, and one of the things he said going into the match, I think it's after they won the first T20, he spoke about the series win being decided by how the left-hand batters, of course, play spin so far. And to me, of course, he was queuing in on Nicholas Pooran and Shimron Hetmyer. So far, Shimron Hetmyer hasn't fired in T20 so far, 10, 22, and scores of 9. Does that notion still hold that the series will be decided by that? And what's your take on that particular statement?
I thought it was pretty accurate, just given not only conditions, but also how much the West Indies in white ball cricket have struggled against spin in the middle overs, whether it's in one-day cricket where we saw in Zimbabwe at the qualifiers or in T20 cricket of late. And I think we didn't see as much as in South Africa because of conditions and how placid the surfaces were, but here we have. And the way that Pooran has gone about things, basically when he's come off, the West Indies have won. But also Rodman Powell has stood up. He was mentioning in that presentation it would be about Hetmyer and Pooran, the left-handers, but it's been a lot about him coming in that number 5 position and the way he's been able to mitigate the threat of the spinners, but also attack them and sort of take them out of the game. And India's spinners have bowled well, but I think the West Indies have had that right remedy for them, and it'll be integral tomorrow. A lot depends on the surface, because if you have that flat surface ball comes onto the bat, I think West Indies have a clear advantage. But if it is slow and it's gripping, then of course it goes to India. But that's why I'm saying either Hetmyer or Shea Hope if you bring him in. I would like to see either one of them at number 4, because both are very good against spin, and I think it gives you a lot more options, and you have Powell, Shepherd, etc. to face a lot more of the pace. Powell has improved, but I think you get more results if you have Hope or Hetmyer up the order.
Well, I'm looking forward to see how tomorrow goes. Nikhil, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and maybe you can join us on Monday when we look back at the encounter. Thank you.
Cheers, we'd be happy to, thanks.
Yeah, Nikhil Uttamchandani there, our cricket analyst. So Lance, big day tomorrow for cricket and of course West Indies, because all the stats say if we win this one, it will be the first time we have back-to-back wins, because remember we beat South Africa earlier in March, I believe. So for me, it's a big one. I think it's very important where the rebuilding stage is concerned, where the future of West Indies cricket is concerned, and most importantly, the confidence of the West Indies senior men's team.
You say rebuilding, but the West Indies has been rebuilding now for about 25 years, so I'm not sure about the rebuilding term, but I still think the odds favour the Indians here. They have won against the West Indies in Florida more often than not. I think 6 matches played, the Indians have won 4, 1 West Indies win, and there was 1 rained-out game. So the West Indies will try to ensure that the good form that they're showing so far in the past couple of weeks transfers into this Florida assignment, and let's see how well they do, because it would do a lot for West Indies cricket fans if they're able to defeat India in this series. Before we go to break, let's check in on Montreal, the WTA Open, where Jessica Pegula, the 4th seed, is battling Coco Gauff, and Gauff was trailing 2-4 in the final set, and now Pegula is leading 6-5 in the 3rd and deciding set. They've gone about 2 hours and 10 minutes into this match now, and Jessica Pegula is actually serving for the game here, and Coco Gauff has smashed that one into the net. Let's stay with the coverage here to see if we get the finish of this WTA Montreal Open, because it was live on SportsMax before the zone started.
Gauff has been 2 points away. Now it's Pegula's turn. So 3 chances for it for Jessica Pegula. Nearly 2.5 hours on court. This is what it's come down to. It is Pegula. Semi-final for the number 3 in the world. Same as Dubai and Miami.
Yeah, so just a couple of minutes short of 2.5 hours, Jessica Pegula, the 4th seed, defeats Coco Gauff, the 6th seed in their WTA Montreal Open match, and Pegula now goes through to the semi-finals with that victory. We go to break. More on the SportsMax Zone after this.